Hello my keto peeps, it's Samaya and welcome back to my channel, I Don't Sugarcoat. Today I've got an exciting recipe for you guys. I'm going to show you how to make keto tortilla chips. So let's get started. Today's video is sponsored by Lupins for Life. They are a company based in Australia and they specialize in making a line of Lupin products, from their Lupin kibble to their crumb to their flakes to their Lupin Semolina and their Lupin Flour. These are all amazing products and they would make a great addition to your keto kitchen and your keto lifestyle. I love Lupins for Life's mission, trying to help people eat a healthier diet. And with over 150 years of experience in the food industry, this is certainly a company that you can trust. I'll leave a link to their website in the description of this video and also a link to where you can purchase their products. Now let's jump into today's recipe. So to begin, we are going to start off by adding our stuff to a food processor. I find this to be the best way to make this. It just works out so much better than doing it by hand. So if you have a food processor, please use that. I'm going to be placing my food processor on a scale because at some point we will be adding some oil that I didn't measure it out already because I didn't want to leave any oil left behind. This recipe is very finicky, and so you really want to get the most accurate measurements when it comes to this. Trust me, I played around with this recipe quite a bit, and so in doing so, I learned quite a lot. This recipe will be measured out in grams because it is a very finicky recipe and you have to get it precisely right or your chips will not turn out well at all if just the slightest thing is off. We're going to start off with 70 grams of Lupin flour. To this, we're going to add 30 grams of Lupin Semolina. Next, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of some baking powder. Now, I will suggest you not add any more baking powder than that because you will get big air bubbles in your chips. It'll just be way too much. So you want to make sure you add precisely the right amount. Okay, so now that we have all of our dry ingredients in the bowl, I am going to give this a few quick pulses just to get it mixed together before we add in our wet. Okay, and now because this is supposed to be a corn tortilla chip, we're going to be adding just a little bit of Amoretti sweet corn extract, just so it can mask a little bit of that Lupin taste. So we're just going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon. You don't need to add more than that. At least I don't think so, but if you want, adjust it according to your taste. Now we're going to need to add in 5 grams of oil. Try to make sure you don't add more than that. Okay, and then lastly, we're going to be adding in 70 grams of water, and that's roughly about 5 tablespoons. Now we're going to go ahead and pulse this until we have a nice tacky dough. So our dough is ready and we want to let it sit for about 30 minutes. And this is an important step because to try to manipulate the dough right now to try to form it into chips, it's really tacky and it just would stick to your fingers a whole bunch. So letting it rest for about 30 minutes gives it a chance to come together and makes it easier to manage. Okay, so I'm just gonna get a little bit of saran wrap here and we're gonna get our dough out And I know you're probably thinking, so little dough. When I make these chips, I tend to only make it in batches of 2. So if you want to make more, double or triple up on this recipe. But this makes 48 chips. As I said, this is a 2-person serving. So if you're making this for a family or an event, you're definitely going to want to make more and make it in advance. Okay, so use a spatula to get this out of the bowl of your food processor. Scrape along the sides and the bottom to collect all of your dough. Okay, so just gently with your hands, shape your dough into a ball. And it should stick to your hands just a little because, like I said, it's very tacky right now, but that's okay. Once we let it sit, it'll be less so. So now that we have it shaped into a ball, wrap it in your saran wrap, set a timer, set it for 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we're gonna do next. So now that my dough has sat, what I wanna do now is I want to measure this. I wanna weigh it, weigh it, and then I'm gonna divide this into 6 to 8 balls. It just kind of depends. I usually do 8 to get 48 chips, but sometimes I do 6 as well and end up with 36 chips. So just kind of depends. Okay, and so my dough here is 177.5 grams. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull out my handy dandy calculator here. And I'm going to divide that by 8. And each ball should be somewhere around 22.1 grams. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break these up and then shape them into smaller balls. All right, so now that I have all 8 of my balls rolled out, over here I have my deep fryer and I've got it going in between 320 and the 338 mark. So somewhere around 325 is where I'm hoping to be. And you don't want to go any higher than that. Any higher, your chips will cook too fast and they will brown too fast, and that's not what you want. And any lower, it's not going to cook it very well. So I've got some coconut oil in here, and this is some refined coconut oil because I don't want them to taste like coconut oil. So I've got that going in here, and I've got this getting hot, and I just truly love this particular deep fryer because it has this storage down here for any oil that you may use. And once you're done with it, you can just go ahead, flip this switch and put that oil into this storage unit right here. And then you're able to transfer it to wherever you store your oils. So this is made by Tefal. I really love it. It's one of my most favorite deep fryers I've ever owned. So I will leave a link for this in the description of this video. Now let's move on to the next step. Here I have a tortilla press. Mine is a 10-inch tortilla press, and I have these pre-cut parchment papers. And I gotta say, I love these things. They come in handy when you get them pre-cut like this. You can use them for cake pans, or I use this particular size I use for my tortilla press here. And I just love these things. I'll also leave a link for these in the description of the video. So what we want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and open my tortilla press. And I like to spray my parchment paper with a little bit of oil, both pieces, top and bottom, because the dough is kind of tacky. I don't want it to stick, and you don't want to have to re-roll your ball. So I just like to go ahead and spray my paper before putting it on. I grab one of my balls here and I press down a little bit so that way it'll stay in place when I close it. And then I'm just gonna spray my paper again. And this is just some some avocado oil I got in here. And now I'm gonna place my paper on top like so. Press this down and then press the handle. Now you want to be careful how much force you use because you don't want your edges to be too thin. Now what I do like to do is I like to flip it around a little bit and give it another gentle pressing so that way it can flatten out to a little bit of a bigger circle. So that is how I do that. Or you can just take it out and roll it with a rolling pin if you want. However you choose to do it is up to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through these and then I'll come back when we're ready to move on to the next step. So now that I have all of my dough pressed out, what I wanna do now is I wanna go ahead and get these cut. So I'm gonna gently peel back my paper. And I like to use my pie cutter here. You can totally just use a pizza cutter or a knife, whatever you want. But this right here, it just makes it so much easier. I just line it up where I want it, and then I've got all my cuts in one. So I just love doing this and doing it this way. And then I just peel it gently off. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start frying my chips. So now I'm just going to gently peel these off. And while they are a little fragile, they are kind of sturdy. So you don't have to be too afraid, but you should be a little careful. So now that I have them in the basket, I like to just fry 6 chips at a time, but you can fry as many as you feel comfortable with. So I'm just gonna put these in and I'm gonna fry these for about 1 to 2 minutes per side. I like to flip them after about a minute or 2 of cooking. So if you see one of your chips is trying to stack on top of the other, try to gently pry them apart like so, so that way they will cook evenly. And while that's cooking, I usually just go and I set up my next disc of chips. And now look at that. They look and smell so great. So after shaking off some of this here oil, I just dump them onto a cookie sheet lined with some paper towels, and I keep going until I'm done. So I'm gonna keep frying and then we'll come back when I'm done. That's it. All my chips have been fried. And as you can hear, they are nice and crispy. What I like to do now is just sprinkle a little bit of extra salt on mine. You don't have to do this if you don't want. I just sprinkle just a little bit of extra salt because tortilla chips tend to be a bit salty. At least to me they are. So these are perfectly good to eat right now as they are. But what I do is I like mine to get crispier. So I stick mine in the dehydrator for about 2 hours. One, it helps to absorb any leftover grease on the chips from frying. And also it just makes them crispier and makes for a more sturdier chip, especially when I'm using them to make nachos and things like that. And I want them to be able to hold cheese and meat and stuff. So I will leave it up to you if you choose to stick these in a dehydrator. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can probably do these in the oven on the lowest setting that you can get it to. Just be mindful of the time. I like to do mine in my dehydrator at 160 degrees for roughly 2 hours. So that's what I would do. And if you have a dehydrator, then go ahead and do the same thing. I will tell you guys though, having a dehydrator in my kitchen is really essential, especially for the stuff that I make for my keto diet. So I would suggest you guys getting a dehydrator if you, you know, cook like I do and make a lot of stuff fresh and whatnot. So yeah, a dehydrator is one of my favorite kitchen gadgets that I have. So that is going to be it for this video, you guys. This is Lupin tortilla chips. They are so great. They're so delicious. They are so fantastic. They go great with salsa, and they go great with nacho cheese dip and as a whole plate of nachos. I've had them all kinds of ways, and these are terrific. You're not going to get anything better than this on keto. I promise you, you're going to love them. Make them. Let me know how they turned out. Let me know if you enjoy them. And that's going to be it for today. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button for me. If you want to see me make more videos like this, click that subscribe button, and don't forget to ding that little bell so you can get notifications every time I upload a new video. And until next time, you guys, bye.